And Bruno Fernandes has won the Men's PFA Players Player of the Year award. The Manchester United captain scored 9 goals and registered a record 21 assists in the Premier League last season, which also saw him crowned the Football Writers Association Men's Player of the Year.
Oh, obviously, it's very special. You know, I've been voted by the ones that stand out every week against me in the football pitch, and being voted by them, or most of them, let's say, though was not all of them. It's very special, and I think it makes this award making even having a different meaning for us to get to break that assist record that was there for many years. You know, people will talk about and we'll look at that as a better season, but I think honestly it was one of my best seasons in the club, and individually I think I had an amazing season and helped the team to get back to the Champions League spots. That was our aim from the beginning of the season.
Well, there was success across the other side of Manchester too. Nico O'Reilly has picked up the Young Player of the Season award. O'Reilly scored twice in Manchester City's Carabao Cup final win and played a big part for Thomas Tuchel in England's World Cup journey to the semi-finals. Well, O'Reilly and Fernandes were both named in the Team of the Year, which a champions Arsenal dominated with 5 players, including 3 of the back 4 and the goalkeeper David Raya. The Manchester City trio of Ryan Cherki, Antoine Semenyo and Erling Haaland make it, as does Brentford striker Igor Thiago. Manchester City striker Bunny Shaw claimed the Women's Award after helping her side to the Women's Super League title. Shaw scored 27 goals in 32 games in all competitions, with 21 of those coming in the league. That tally made her the first player in the WSL's history to win the Golden Boot for a 3rd successive season.
You're an inspiration to so many players. You've won 3 Golden Boots in a row. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. What is that consistency down to?
I think just repetition and being in front of goal, and credit to my teammates as well, because I've always said they make me look good. But yeah, I think just having the confidence, knowing that when I'm in front of the goal, I'm going to put it in the back of the net.
Olivia Smith has been named Women's Young Player of the Year at the PFA Awards for the 2nd season in a row. Smith scored 10 goals in 38 matches in all competitions for Arsenal after joining the club from Liverpool. The PFA WSL Team of the Year featured 3 players from Manchester City, with Bunny Shaw, joined by teammates Kirsten Kasparich and Yui Hasegawa. Arsenal's Mariona Caldente and was also joined by Emily Fox and Alessia Russo. Chelsea trio of Hannah Hampton, Ellie Carpenter and Lauren James, all included. Manchester United's midfield rebuild looks to be complete after Carlos Baleba joined the club from Brighton in a deal worth up to £70 million. Baleba is Michael Carrick's 3rd midfield signing this summer after the arrivals of Andre Santos and Yuri Tillemans. The 22-year-old has signed a 5-year contract, but he's currently recovering from an ankle injury, which is expected to keep him out until the middle of September.
Some very strong player, very difficult to play against, but very happy now for having him on my side. Someone that has a huge potential in himself, and someone that I'm expecting a lot of good things. But at the same time, I want to give him time to set at the club and do the best he can for himself to feel at home.
Game of the season at home, I think it's a bonus, especially against one of the big boys. You know, you don't have to get your crowd up for that. Manchester United, when they come to town, they're well organised, you know, defensively they're hard to break down, and super organised from set pieces, as you see. You know, look like want to get on their head on the first ball. You know, you've got some big guys who are willing to attack it, and if you're not willing to compete, you're going to get beat against this side. But you have to give them credit. It's more than 3 points. It's the confidence now going into the remaining games of the season, knowing that they've got them 3 on the board. They go to Coventry next, which is massive. It's massive for Coventry as well, having got beat heavily against Arsenal. You know, if Coventry were to lose that game, they're already playing catch-up with Hull, a team you want to be clawing into the relegation battle. So I still think they've got a long way to go, Jules. I would still say they were one of my favourites to get relegated, but I've been wrong before, many times.
Really? Have you? I can't believe that for a minute, Tim. They are still the favourites and odds-on favourites to go down with the bookmakers. Jay, I heard Dean Holden, their assistant manager, making the point that they were underdogs in many games in the Championship, in fact, last season. And, you know, they're not coming up to the Premier League known as like a team that hogs the ball and wants to try and enforce their passing game on Premier League sides. They know what they are. They know what they're about. How far can that approach take them this season?
I mean, listen, they started really, really well. And when you heard the players speak the other day, they were saying about team spirit. They were saying hard working, very organised, difficult to break down. I think the manager got his tactics, you know, spot on. And they all know what's required of them. They know they're not going to come and pass the likes of, you know, Arsenal off the pitch, Man City, Liverpool, all these kind of teams. They know that they have to go into these games, be difficult to beat. Stay in the game as long as possible, you know, work with, the set pieces they scored, try and get goals like that, but stay in games, stay in ties, nick points. And then when you're playing at home, that's where you want to pick up your points, pick up your wins, but away from home, you know, you don't want to get beat too heavily. You know, if you get beat like the 6s and 7s, then it really dents your confidence. But if you're putting in really good performances, honest performances where you're competing, you're working hard for one another, you know, they can stay on this little, I say, Cloud 9, is it too early to say that? But, I mean, I like them. I just think they all play with a really good attitude. And I think that's what it takes to stay in the Premier League.
Will they go down, Jay? I'm trying to take the pressure.
I know. I'm trying to be positive. He's just putting... I still think they will go down. But, I mean, the thing is, what is expected of them? There's nothing expected of them. So they go into all of these games, you know, with nothing to lose. Yeah. And that's why they're going to be difficult to beat.
Yeah. I tell you what, as well, there's 2 goals they scored against Manchester United, set pieces, effective set pieces. Last season in the Championship, they were the joint lowest scorers from set-piece goals, and they had by far the lowest XG, expected goals, from set pieces in the whole of the Championship. Wow. That tells you they've been doing their homework, they've been doing their work on the training ground.
Yeah, and actually, I think when you look at Hull as well, when you look at the players that they've got in the team, it's a surprising stat when you look at the likes of, you know, Ollie McBurney and the players that they've got with good deliveries from wide areas. So it's definitely a surprise for me. What they did really well, yes, they got the goals from set pieces, but the way they exploited wide areas and switched it out quickly to then catch Manchester United out, I think was really positive. But what I like about Hull is the fact that, look, we've seen it in years gone by when teams come up, for example, Vincent Kompany's Burnley, and they tried to play and they tried to play, and they left it too late and they had to change. I think the positive that Hull have is they're not coming up, they've not played like that in the Championship, and then they're having to come up to the Premier League and change their philosophy and their style of play. They know exactly what they are. They're proud of the way that they play. They're all very well drilled, and say they're not ashamed to go to front to back, to use the fact. You know, look at Ollie McBurney again against Manchester United. He absolutely bullied heaven. He really did. So that's in terms of playing to your positive, playing to your strengths. Yes, they might still go down, but actually, when you look at the fact that there's already 3 points on the board, the ones in and around has got to be important. So Coventry, you don't want to say must win at this time of the season, but in terms of, right, if they get, then at least, if they at least back that up with a point, 4 points on the board after 2 games, they'll be so happy with that.
Yeah, and obviously all eyes are drawn on that game.
Don't you start with me. I'm just trying to be happy. Everyone's trying to put me in this position.
But our eyes are drawn naturally, you know, after the win over Manchester United to the game against Coventry at the weekend. And really now, Lee, after the opening contrasting weekends for both, if there's a pressure on either side to get a result, it's Coventry, isn't it?
Lee, do you think they'll stay up?
Just let me answer the question first, Paul. What was the question again? I do think there's probably more pressure on Coventry, but I think, you know, you look at the first opening games, both of these sides, and, you know, there's been heavily talked about Manchester United, about what they can do this season and featuring in that top 6, being consistent. Likewise, you know, you look at Arsenal, they've gone to that next level, and so they should. They deserve to be. So these were 2 massive games. I think the unfortunate thing is that, you know, if you put the 2 in comparison of Arsenal and Manchester United, Coventry had the harder game by a million miles. I think when you look at the game overall, listen, there's got to be plan Bs, plan Cs for these teams that have come out the Championship. Frank will know what he's got to do and what he's got to possibly still bring in the transfer window. You know, some of these players are coming up against an unbelievable Arsenal side where every odd is stacked against them. I don't think anyone would have backed Coventry to go and get a result that evening. Yeah, they might have started brightly, but it was always going to be. It was inevitable what was going to be happening. I think this doesn't typify how your season's going to go. I think, yes, we all know that they're going to lose games, and that one in particular, but I think it's too early to say, well, this is a massive game. We're 2 games in and Hull are playing against Coventry. So I think even the whole game, you think to yourself, well, Manchester United pretty much dominated the ball. Yes, they are going to get lucky at times, and that's what it was. I think what you're going to get out of the teams that have come out of the Championship, as we've seen, the second balls, they'll drop on them. And this is where, coming up against the top teams, they will try and sit back and park the bus, these teams will, that have come out of the Championship. I still think that Hull will go down. I still think that Coventry have got more to come. I think at home they will be really, really strong. But I can't look at them two first opening fixtures and go, you know what, I'm going to judge these two teams early on, because I don't think there's anywhere near we can.
And for Coventry's perspective, I mean, you know, they've spent considerable money, £120 million on new players, including Taiwo Awoniyi from Nottingham Forest. Jay, I'll come to you. What, 9 million or so for a striker who's had...
Is that Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United has won the PFA Player of the Year award. We love individual awards, don't we? But Augie, I'm going to start with you, because judging by last season and the fact that he pretty much swept all the awards then, this was definitely no surprise. So why wait for now to give him this one?
Well, I suppose Don and Stevie will be able to tell you better than I can, but back in the day, the PFA award was usually done quite early. The players would vote around January, February time, and it would sometimes get handed out by April. So the view was that they weren't really covering the full season. They weren't giving the reflection of what a player was done over 9 months. So they changed the system maybe 3 or 4 years ago, so that the vote is held at the end of the season. And then as soon as the players are back into this season, that they'll hand out the award, because obviously they can't hand it out in middle of July or August because people are on holiday. So season starts, they give out the trophy, but it's for last season, so it does feel a little bit out of the ordinary. But it is to make sure that the player of the year is the player of the year, not the player of the half year. So as I say, Don and Steve will remember when the voting forms went out in January or February, everybody picked the same player, and you got a vote in April when the season was still 6-7 weeks to go.
Don, we know our Frank the Buff hates individual awards, but you love individual awards. You're a positive guy, so 100% deserved, right?
Oh, easy. I mean, it was back in the day when me and Stevie were voting. It was conceived or perceived as a little bit of a joke. You used to vote for your teammates. You used to vote for your mates that you were, pals with at other clubs. So now it's taken a lot more professionally, and rightly so. And you think the best player by a million miles last season was Bruno Fernandes. He topped all the charts. He broke all the records with his assists. So fully deserved.
Stevie?
Yeah, even I can't argue with that. Yeah, I think...
Here he is.
Well, listen, if you carry a club the size of Manchester United on your back, then you deserve to get the awards that are available. And so, yeah, it was thoroughly deserved, 100%. Yeah. No question.
Some would say that maybe an Arsenal player should have won this award, considering Arsenal won the Premier League. But you, Stevie, actually won this similar award, the Football Writers Association Player of the Season award, when you guys lost the league to Arsenal.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
At least you won the award, though.
How did you manage to squeeze that in?
Oh, I had to look through the history books, let me tell you.
No, we did lose it in the last game of the season, and we had won the FA Cup.
So you just didn't care when you got there?
So... Yeah, no, I actually, although this feels a little strange, I actually like what they're doing with this. Because as Don said, it was a little strange that, at the end of January, you're filling in these forms. And so, incredibly, most of the time, the right people won it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Somehow, because if you think about it, when you're doing this in the end of January, the fact that the right person won it is incredible, but it did actually usually end up the right. But I prefer this way better than the old system. It does seem a little strange right now, but listen, in a couple of years' time, when it seems like the norm, then 100% the right decision will be made. And as I said before, Bruno Fernandes was the right decision for last season.
For last season, indeed. But Manchester United definitely haven't started this season well. This is what Bruno Fernandes had to say after their loss to Hull City at the weekend. Same mistakes as we did last season. Every away game, we give too much of the ball to them. In the first 20 minutes, the goalkeeper was the one with the most touches. We needed to press more, be more aggressive. And then again, we need to work on set plays and not concede these type of goals. Against these type of teams, they are waiting for that moment. And Hull City definitely took their moment. So, Augie, how much panic is there in Manchester after what we saw at the weekend?
How much panic? Wow, I mean, listen, it's still only mid-August, isn't it? But United have got a habit of making bad starts to the season. I've seen it a few times in recent years now where there's a bit of momentum, they've had a good season previously and they've signed a couple of players and then bang, you lose a game they should win, never mind not lose. United needs to strengthen at the back, but they've obviously focused on midfield. They've got 3 midfielders in, but they do need a full-back. They probably need 2 full-backs because I'm not sure the right-back situation is resolved either. But every season is an issue, and I think... Is it good that it's happened now? Maybe, but I'd be a little bit concerned the fact that they've had quite a clear summer actually to get everything right. And the first game of the season, the whole City manager says, we know that Man United aren't great at set pieces, so we targeted them, and they made it easy. But I said that for me, the craziest picture I've seen all weekend is Harry Maguire wrestling Brian Mbeumo, which is just, I mean, how do you wrestle your own player at a corner?
Yeah, that was definitely a sight to see. Don, is it, as Bruno has said, new season, but same old United problems? How many of the same problems are you seeing?
Well, I'm seeing the same back four at Man United that I've seen for the last 4 or 5 years, so there's been no change there. I don't know. I mean, listen, Bruno talks about giving the ball away. I mean, he's one of the biggest culprits of giving the ball away because he plays that way. He's risk and reward, so you can't, complain when your teammates are giving the ball away when you're doing the same. I thought they got beat up in wide areas. I didn't think they stopped enough crosses. I thought they were weak when crosses were coming in. Hull played to Man United's weakness, and they played it very well. Listen, it's one of them, Alexis, right? When you go away from home on match day 1 and a 12:30 kick-off, it's never going to be easy. The big test for Man United is the next game at home. They've got Ipswich at home. If they lost that one or dropped points in that one, then there'd be major concern. There'd be major panic stations. I don't think it's the end of the world. There's been a couple of teams like Liverpool, etc., that have dropped points. Match day 1, it's all about if you can't get the result, it doesn't matter how you play. Unfortunately for Man United, they got beat up on the day, so time for them to react.
Yeah, still only the first game of this season. Stevie, you okay with Bruno Fernandes speaking out like this?
I think so. I think so, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, what do you expect if you're Manchester United? Last season, their best attribute was going forward with that 4 pretty much that we just saw. And the problems were in the middle of the park and defensively. And so when you bring in Tielemans and Santos, I don't think you're particularly strength in the middle. And then you don't make any changes at the back, then don't be surprised when you get the same outcome and the same performances. So it really shouldn't be that big a surprise because nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is the 2 personnel changes in the middle of the park. But in my opinion, it's funny, Augie was mentioning Roy Keane. Now, if you brought Roy Keane in to play in there, then you would see a difference.